Let's talk about dirt for a second. Probably more than a second. If we're going to have people live in a forest, I've said before that the priority is to protect the forest. And that's actually much more complex than just making a simple little phrase. We have to protect the soil, think about every impact we have on the natural environment, whether it's the native one or the one that we create and encourage and collect species that serve us, the plants and stuff. But soil is actually not just dirt. And I didn't really even know this growing up, and I was gardening even then, mainly not doing a good job at just doing what my dad told me. And but I borrowed a book on soil once, and it was really impressive. And I'm sure you can look this up. But the amount of microorganisms in a tiny bit of soil is just massive. Healthy soil is full of life. And the way we do agriculture now kills the soil. So it doesn't have mushrooms, it doesn't have life in it. We have to dump fossil fuel-based fertilizers on it or other stuff to just grow things, and we're killing the soil, literally. This is the idiocracy of it, of civilization and how we do things. So we have to see, okay, how can we live in a forest and enhance the soil? Well, one thing is to not have people walking around everywhere. Because you go to some places that are parks and stuff, and all the ground has been trampled down. They have lawns and stuff. It's just not healthy soil. So the first thing we want to do is make trails and roads that keep people from even stepping on the ground, the raw earth. Like here, all this dirt up here on this hillside has not been messed with much. Sure, people might go mushroom hunting a little bit on it. They might collect some composting oak leaves. So they do have a slight impact. But for the most part, this is really good dirt up there. And then we got a very low impact dirt road right here that barely even gets used. So we want to set up a really good trail system, and we can even pave some roads and stuff. That's not necessarily bad. We want people to be able to get around. But getting people out of the forest, I mean, not out of the forest as a larger entity, but off the ground is really important. Like, your feet are essentially weapons that can destroy life. And especially stuff when you look at mycology, right? And the famous guy is Paul Stamets. I got like 2 of his books. You know, he talks about the huge value, the underappreciated value of mushrooms and mycology, you know, of fungus in our system. And it's super important. And I live in a pretty dry place most of the year, but there is one part of the year when it's wet. And at the end of that, there's a big mushroom season. So that mycology, the rest of the year, is under there, and it can't reproduce. Well, it could probably still spread its little mycelia, which you don't see. Because the mushroom's just the fruit of the mycelium, right? It's not the actual plant, although it's not even a plant anyway. So understanding that and doing things to improve soil health would be fantastic. For example, if we're doing rain capture in buildings, that's cool. And hopefully we can actually have enough storage to store all the water. But perhaps for some outbuildings, or perhaps we're not able to store it all, which would be an architectural failure. But that means downslope from that building, it's much more humid. It's going to get like twice as much rain, you know, because that rain's going to flow off the building, or your overflow from your rain capture. And so we're going to have extra water. Well, that means we can create more moist microclimates, and we can actually increase the biodiversity of the space. There's ways to grow mushrooms outdoors. There are mushrooms that you can cultivate, you know, on beds of wood chips, or just, I would like to do that. They sell mushroom kits. Paul Stamets sells them. And so we could actually get really cool mushrooms that don't currently exist here and put them here. Now, is that controversial? Is it controversial in general to put a species that wasn't here before into the ground? Well, some people think that's a horrible idea, and they haven't really thought it through. Of course, we have to be really careful about it. The biggest danger is invasive species, which could even include like plant diseases that could come in a plant that we buy. So we do have to be super, super careful. And anything that's been brought in as a biological thing is a potential threat. But the actual level of threat, percentage-wise, for most species is extremely low. Most of them are not a danger at all. And so some people will say, but well, they just have this religious fervor about everything must be native. And it's like, nothing is fucking native, okay? There used to just be microorganisms. Everything grew out of that. And for hundreds of thousands of years, with climate change and comets falling and volcanoes going off and, stuff, and floods and just all kinds of things, life has moved around the planet. And that's a natural process. We have moved life around the planet. For example, when we colonized the Americas, we got lots of species we brought to Europe, and we had species we brought to the Americas. That's okay. I mean, we brought horses over. That changed things a lot. I mean, the Incas managed to have a great empire with no horses. And I guess they had alpacas, but I don't think they used them for transport much. Their postal system was a bunch of runners. Very impressive. But, like we think of like tomatoes as being Italian and potatoes as being Irish. It's like neither one of those existed before we had contact with the New World, the Americas. And, other plants have moved around the world, and then we've cultivated them and made plants that never even existed. Like there's a whole bunch of plants that come, all the brassicas, I think, come off of what? Mustard? And we've selectively bred them to make broccoli and I don't know what else, cabbage, stuff like that. There's some cool books on that. They're just kind of amusing as well. I think it's they're about our relationship with plants. I think Michael Pollan wrote one of them. It's a funny name, Pollan. I wonder if that's his real name. And so it's okay to plant non-native plants very carefully. And it's okay to bring in mushroom species that don't exist currently here. Some of them might be really, really useful, and some of them very, very exciting and fun. So we have to think about that soil and making sure we're enhancing the soil with everything we do. We're going to be buying food from the outside because we still can, and we want a diversity of food. And so that actually brings biomass into the system that turns into poo, and that becomes human manure that we can then be enhancing the soil with that. Anytime we're raising rabbits or chickens, or donkeys, or horses, then they're turning plant matter into something that will make the soil more fertile, into fertilizer. And we can definitely have places for more intense cultivation, but the goal is to have a food forest that is primarily perennials, stuff like nut trees and things that are a massive investment in the future and for the most part are not profitable at all. Because to build it is very expensive, it's labor intensive, but the goal is then to build a forest that doesn't require a lot of energy or labor, that is this massive collection of species of very valuable plants, some of which could be endangered. We could take endangered plants and we could unendanger them. Why the fuck am I in town again? I'm gonna get some sandwiches. Luxury item. I'm getting a little tired of living the way I do, I tell you. There's that friendly horse over there. That horse is so lonely. I consider that animal abuse to have a horse be all by itself. It always runs over and says hi to me, but it can't right now because it's 2 fences away. But normally it comes up and it wants to be like petted on the face and stuff. I should probably carry like apples, but I can't feed other people's animals without permission. I could ask permission. Like sometimes there's a guy working over there. I assume it's either his horse or somebody he knows. I could say, hey, can I bring a carrot or an apple for your horse? For this horse, and the horse would then really like it. But really what the horse needs is other horses. Because that horse looks bored as shit. That's not a good thing to be, is bored as shit. Rambling into a camera about dirt. Anyway, so yeah, if you don't realize the complexity of soil and dirt, realize it. Realize the things you can do to potentially improve it around you. In most cases, do not have a lawn. Stop dumping chemicals on shit. What is this feather? Big feather there. That's a long, weird feather. It's like brown, black, and white. Brown, black, and white. Yeah. Yeah, thinking about dirt. Oh, hi, honey. You got through. Now come say hi. Come say hi. Come on, lonely puppy. Are you a dog? Are you a funny dog? Hi. Come on. No, it's okay. I think he's scared of the camera. Hi. Hi. It's okay. I know you're a lonely boy. Are you a boy or girl? Maybe you're a lonely girl. You want to smell me? You can smell me. Don't bite me. I've been bit by horses before. It kind of hurts. Yeah, that's what I smell like. It's me. Alright, goodbye. Sorry I don't have any food for you. Sucks. Poor horse. I have a video on animal abuse I'm uploading right now. Actually, my computer's shut down because I'm not there, but it's in the queue.